Hello, dear listeners. This is the second part of our second episode in the Lord of the Rings read-through series. This is part 2 of the episode on the Two Towers. This part covers pretty much, I believe it is book 4. We focus just on Frodo and Sam's sort of plight as they go through Mordor, and they meet Smeagol and they meet Faramir. And we get into some nice deep lore conversations about fan favorite Faramir, as well as his relationship to Numenor and our proposed alternative title to the Two Towers, aka the Two Gardeners. We hope you enjoy the conversation. Well, I feel like we should probably get to Frodo and Sam because because I feel like we're almost hitting like 2 hours, I think, from when we started. So we can kind of trace back because I feel like some of the stuff we talked about relates to the Frodo and Sam story in this section. I forgot how bleak this gets. Like almost initially, Frodo's like, yeah, I'm probably going to die. like that moment that he has with Sam, where Sam's like, we need the same food. And Frodo's like, well, there's not going to be an afterwards. And like, it's very, that's before Smeagol shows up. So it's incredibly like, to me, bleak and serious moment. The Dead Marshes kind of functions as like a World War I flashback, more or less. And like, there's some real bleakness in this back half that can, to me, like, I think as we've been talking, I think the first part is just like a lot more fun. Like there's just stuff happening. And then in this one, it's just like, man, this is sucks. Like this, like, and there are like moments of lightness. Well, like the Oliphants hanging out with Faramir. And I think some of the Smeagol Golem stuff is funny, but it is like, it gets extremely more serious in this second half. And I just wonder what you guys thought.
When like Faramir shows up, like it's frankly like such a relief. Because man, I hate fucking Gollum. And I feel like I'm supposed to. Like I don't hate him in terms of like I don't hate how he's written. I hate him as a guy. Like I think he sucks as a person and he's bad to spend time around.
Yeah. You're just taking the Sam perspective. It's just like, do we have to hang out with this guy? Like, yeah.
You mean you wouldn't want to have a beer with him?
No, I don't want to. You know. Oh man, what if you took Gollum out for sushi?
He's just not using
that.
He's not using the chopsticks. He's just like eating it with his hands. Like, no, you're like, supposed to use the bones. You're supposed to use the chopsticks. But
I will say one of the funniest moments that Smeagol in the Smeagol section is when he imagines getting the ring, and the thing that he imagines for himself is getting to have all of the fish.
Like he gets to move to the ocean and eat fresh fish 3 times a day.
Yeah, like that's as big as his brain goes.
That's all he wants. And like obviously that would, like, him getting the ring would be a bad thing, and like that's not what would happen. But I'm just like, it's on the level of the ring trying to tempt Sam with Garden, you know?
Right. Yeah.
It's just really funny.
No, I found myself thinking today as I was reading this, like I was like, if the ring was in front of me and it was like, hey, hey buddy, what if you pick me up? Think of all the stuff we could do. And I'm like, what would it tempt me with? And I was like, oh yeah, it would be like, what if you could run a small magazine that publishes literary reviews.
Yeah, it's like,
and you could make a modest income off that.
Yeah, people would say, wow, such great magazines you have. Yeah, like, yeah, because it is like, that is as far as he can go besides just having it. It's like, yeah, I could have fish every day.
Yeah, because I don't really want to run the whole world. That sounds really hard and kind of boring.
Yeah, now I'm imagining it's like, but then the fantasy would be like, yeah, and then the New York Times would hire me to decide. Like, yeah, like, And I'd say, no thanks, Colleen Hoover. Yeah, whatever. Like, just something
it just stinks.
Yeah. So just the fantasy of being able to tell everyone how to do it. So yeah.
Meanwhile, I'm invisible the whole time too because I never take the ring off.
Yeah, the mysterious magazine editor we never see. Yeah, but
because nobody perceives me.
Well, I also wanted to say, like, I'm not going to do the full Trump impression because I'm retiring it, but there's something about Smeagol and Gollum's like vocabulary that is like so diminished and repetitive compared to all the other characters, and I didn't notice it until this read through, where he just like will repeat the same thing over and over again, or he'll be like nasty habits, like, and like there's no like you really notice it to me this time compared to like how well the other characters talk, and I think that's something about like Gollum's diminished stature. In this genre, saying he wouldn't be a good person to talk to because he can't like express things. So
because they both have broken brain.
Right? Yeah, their brains are broken.
I would pay a lot to have a Trump impression reading of Smeagol, like all of his lines.
We want it. Precious. What am I doing here? That's a terrible.
Well, just the way he's just like nasty habits, so mean. Yeah,
they won't give me the precious.
Just like I want what's his name? The guy on SNL who does all the Trump impressions because he does
James Austin really Johnson.
Yes, James Austin. I want him to do all of the Smeagol lines.
Yeah.
I do think that. Something that is really, interesting with Gollum is he is this, he's one of the few characters who carries over from The Hobbit.
Yeah.
And so there's kind of, again, this interesting twist here where it's like, okay, in The Hobbit, he talks like that because it's a children's book and he's a weird little goblin man who lives in a cave. And in this book, we find out, oh, yeah, no, he's actually like this intensely like traumatized and like corrupted being who like should not be this way. Yeah. I think there's something interesting there. I did find myself thinking, I don't know if like are there any like pictures of like what Tolkien, like I know he drew some stuff for The Hobbit. Did he like draw Smeagol ever or Gollum?
That's a good question. I don't know.
Peter Jackson just kind of goes with like he's like a hobbit but like fucked up and like pale,
right?
Yeah. But I almost kind of wonder like if that's what he's really supposed to look like, or like what Tolkien initially imagined him looking like, because I almost wonder if like he's supposed to be like more weird looking. Yeah, because like there are various points where like they talk about him like going around on all fours or like looking like a spider, which I think they do a decent job of in the Peter Jackson movies in terms of like his physicality, but I'm almost wondering if he's supposed to be like more obviously monstrous.
Yeah, like pale and clammy. Yeah.
I don't know that I've seen any art that he did of Gollum.
Yeah, because I feel like a lot of his stuff is very like word based, like The Door and Fellowship and like that like burnt document about Gondolin. It's very like calligraphy. Yeah.
Didn't he do like a drawing of Smaug?
Oh.
I think so. I think that kind of that classic drawing of like Smaug from The Hobbit where he's like a ring basically.
Yeah.
Like laying on the gold. I'm pretty sure that Tolkien drew that himself. Now obviously that's very different because it's like a dragon
and not a deformed being. Yeah. So,
I just see I can't remember like from The Hobbit like what he's kind of described like.
Neither.
Yeah, I don't know. I just found that interesting. I think that his physicality is attention is drawn to his physicality, like the way he moves.
Right. Yeah.
Well, and I think it like there's a moment, and Ben and I were talking about this, where like he sort of it changes like the way he's characterized changes.
Yeah.
Like there's sort of a shot, if you will, where he's described as looking almost like a hobbit again.
Yeah, very old and very tired hobbit, I think is what it says.
Very old and tired hobbit, and then he changes and looks more like a spider. And it's like I almost think that it's you can't really represent it on film or in art. Like it has to be written. It has to be in print.
And there's a nice parallel there between the moment John pointed out where Aragorn appears younger in the light of Lothlorien. Frodo's like, oh yeah, this guy used to be younger and now he's kind of older.
Well, I think there's also something there it's like, this is what Bilbo would have turned into. This is what Frodo could turn into.
Right.
You know, and just like the fact that like he wants the ring back so bad, but it's clear that like having the ring is not good for even him. Like he should not want it. Right. Because it is a burden no one is meant to bear.
And there's there's like a corruption of like, I don't know, age, living too long, like having
being spread too thin.
Like
he should have been dead for like hundreds of years at this point.
He's like more than 500 years old at this point.
Oh wow, okay,
and he's literally been doing nothing that whole time except either eating fish or looking for the ring.
Right.
And like a lot of time
the ring when he had it,
living in a cave under a mountain. Like that's like,
okay, so I found some pictures from I don't know if they're by Tolkien, but they're pictures that were in early editions of The Hobbit. And Gollum looks like kind of a weird like fish man, like almost kind of a
like
Innsmouth type figure.
So I vaguely remember The Hobbit describing his feet as being flappy.
Or like webbed,
Again, not saying any of this is like canon, just like it's interesting kind of, again, the way Tolkien takes this character who I don't know if he'd worked all this stuff out when he was writing The Hobbit in terms of like exactly who Gollum was. But the way that like he shifts. There's also there's a drawing Tove Jansson, the Moomins lady did, where he looks kind of like a
that's cool.
Weird like river spirit.
There was a piece of cover art that I don't remember when it was from, where he just kind of looks like a guy with like big eyes. It's really creepy looking.
Well, there's one the Lord of the Rings illustrations that were done by those two brothers are some of my favorite ones because they're very like 80s fantasy.
I just dropped a link to the image in the chat.
That's great. I just some weird looking guy.
Yeah, I like that Bilbo is like wearing pajamas. It looks like in that one.
Yeah, he's wearing pajamas to fight some goblins. Also, top rated comment.
Has like the one Tove Jansson like human face.
Top rated comment. Now that's scary. Yes. I wanted to talk about briefly. I really like Minas Morgul and that we don't go there. There's something great about just like the idea of this like evil castle that's lit up like with an unnatural light and like no one is there except for like things we can't see. I think there's a good description of just like unsettling landscape that there's a reason why various black metal bands have named their albums Minas Morgul, because it's like, I need to imagine that this is the music that they're listening to there because I can't actually go there. Again, it's like a great little bit of just like fantasy setting creation that I'm glad we don't actually end up in, because I feel like it would kind of defeat how scary it is. And I feel like some things like that happen in this section, just like this thing's really fucked up and we're just going to look at it and then leave because we have to go somewhere. So,
well, you know, go ahead.
I was gonna say, it kind of ruins the effect if you go into the city and you have to like watch people cooking and going to the bathroom. And,
like, yeah, or just like all the shadow people are just like sitting there, like not doing anything. Like, yeah, it's so good. Yeah.
Well, you know, it's the kind of a piece with that. You know, this is the first place we get to see my favorite like 5-tool player, Middle Earth, the Witch King of Angmar. Which I love him so much because what a name.
Yeah.
If I ever got to like run a government, that would be my title. I would be the Witch King. But you know, I like him a lot as like a figure in like the Tolkien universe, because it's never really explained what his deal is. Like,
yeah.
How is he a witch? what does it mean to be Witch King? What was going on in Angmar? Bad stuff, but and it's this thing of like
I always assumed that it was because he was already kind of like creepy ring wraithy when he conquered Angmar, and they were like, "What's up with that guy?"
Yeah,
so they
like,
just started calling him that.
Yeah, it's kind of a piece with just like the way Tolkien employs magic, where it's like the implication of like what it would take for like a human being to be a Witch King. Like that man was up to some foul stuff before he even got a ring.
Wasn't it like? Wasn't he like a he's like? I feel like there's a lore bit about him that now I'm not remembering. Where like either he worked for Sauron a long time ago, or he was like the king of the 9 men who were corrupted by the ring. I can't remember.
Well, he's the only ring wraith who's named at all.
Yeah.
None of the other ones get an identity.
I don't remember the lore bit, but yeah, there's not a lot about him, and you're just kind of left to imagine, like you're saying, John, how perverted and evil he must be.
Well, and like because the ring wraiths, it's said at some point that they were lords of Numenor.
Okay.
And I don't think that their process of fading into ring wraiths is really described, but I think it's implied that it takes a long time.
Yeah.
And like, I don't know, like if at the time that he becomes the Witch King, if he's still like in man form or if he's already wraith-like.
Yeah.
At that point.
Yeah.
But if he's still in man form and just doing witchy things, then that would be a good enough reason to be like, oh yeah, my dude is a Witch King.
Well, yeah, it's like one of those sayings that feels like Tolkien got it from somewhere. Like Saruman is described as being Dwemer crafty, which is like an old bit of like old English phraseology. And like again, Witch King to me also seems like that. So
yeah. But it is just that great thing where he just like he finds that little bit of language. Even like, again, the name like Minas Morgul, where it's just like, oh, you could just feel how bad that place is. Well, and you don't even need to see it. Your mind just fills everything in this like expansive way that I think he, when it works, it works.
Well, and like, not to go down this side tangent, but I feel like the idea that it was once the Tower of the Moon and is now evil is very Dark Souls to me, like specifically Bloodborne. Like the idea that, it's like the Moon Tower that is now just completely overrun by the evil faction is, like you're saying, John, really imaginative without being explicit. So,
well, and it also feels very like, it feels very Numenorian in the sense that Numenorians are very prone to arrogance.
Yeah.
Like to build a couple of towers, because they also built those towers around the gates.
Right. Yeah.
The gates of Mordor, those used to be Numenorian towers, and the Minas Morgul used to be a Numenorian tower, and those Osgiliath, Numenorian city.
Right. Yeah.
Like it feels very Numenorian to, well, Gondor, whatever. That it was built by like Isildur and company. Like it feels very Numenorian of them to think, oh yeah, we can build these cities and towers right on the border of Mordor, and it'll be fine.
Yeah, nothing will ever go wrong. Yeah,
nothing bad will happen.
Yeah,
we will keep Sauron and his forces in check with our fantastic towers, and no one will ever defeat us.
Yeah.
And like it just feels like it's very in character for them as a civilization to just think that like we got this.
Yeah, pride. Yeah.
And like we do get some of that with Faramir, like describing kind of Numenor's decline. And he doesn't really talk about Numenor, but he talks about Gondor's decline, which is exactly also what happened to Numenor. So it's just very much in their DNA, as it were.
I do like that Faramir gets tested a lot like the other characters, like we've been talking about. And I think it's interesting that the book gives so much time to like his tests, we could say, like Frodo trying to not tell him, and then once he finds out, and then like how they handle Gollum Smeagol. I feel like the book it takes a lot of interesting time in like showing proper use of power, how Faramir is noble in some way. I do
contrasting him with Boromir quite a lot.
Yes. Yeah.
We have to see kind of in this way that Boromir becomes kind of a an example for like everything wrong with you, or not everything wrong with humanity, but like for the fallibility of humanity, like Faramir kind of becomes proof that like, okay, but men can choose to be good. Like we're not all doomed to be Boromir.
Yeah.
And it's not because like Boromir has like this good core in him, because in the end he chooses to sacrifice himself for the hobbits and chooses to like redeem himself. So he's not like it's in the sense that Gondor is not irredeemable. Boromir is not irredeemable either, but there is kind of this like flaw of arrogance that he has. That Faramir lacks.
Right. Yeah. And he's like, like I think you'd pointed out, like he's like, I wouldn't pick up the ring if I found it on the road or something like that. Like just
he's because he knows better. He's not stupid. Like I do kind of like, it's what is that that phrase, like the master's tools cannot dismantle the master's house. Like that's very much like a core theme of this whole series. Like like you cannot use Sauron's methods to defeat Sauron. That doesn't work. And like that was 60 years before
anyone said that,
before we had critical race theory. Like, and I love it because it's very wise. Like it's true. Like
well, and it feels like this story kind of plays it out in like various ways, like different ways that sentiment happens or occurs or has problems occurring. Even like it would be easier to just use the ring, so
yeah. I mean, we talked a lot about the ring in the first episode, Ben, but I feel like again it remains such like a potent symbol in this book too, obviously. But the way that it is this thing that, again, it doesn't necessarily represent one particular thing. Like it's not like, oh, the ring is X. Like again, the kind of dumb hippie reading where it's like, oh, the ring is the atomic bomb, which makes no sense.
My preferred reading is that the ring is fascism, but it's fine.
I mean, and it can be, but I mean, it's also like it's evil more broad. Like, again, it's not just that. But this thing of like it is this thing that is meant to tempt, but always eventually be disappointing. I think there's kind of a very Buddhist thing there for being such a Catholic book. Your desire will always turn to ash in your mouth. And
like being attached to these things that the ring can help you realize. Yeah.
I also think, I was thinking again about the way in which, the purpose of the rings seems to be to prolong, the way that like, there's they see the elves and the men, they see decay in the world, and they it fills them with sorrow, and the rings are these things that are supposed to kind of pause that,
right?
The reason Lothlorien is timeless is because Galadriel has the ring of water. I was thinking about kind of the way that like Tolkien is like a Catholic is like teleological in his view of the universe. Like the universe has a beginning, a middle, and an end. And the ring is kind of this like false idea of like eternity in terms of like, oh, the world as it is, like we don't have to get to like the end of anything. The world can just continue as it is in this like endless loop.
Right. Yeah.
That I feel like the ring is a really interesting, like, literal representation of.
Well, and I think that is what makes men uniquely susceptible to it.
Mm-hmm.
Because like there is this theme throughout, not just Lord of the Rings, but throughout all of Tolkien's works, that like men are always trying to escape death.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And like, because like the elves, on the one hand, like they're immortal for the most part, like, and like the fading makes them sad, which is why they're trying to preserve things. But that's different than this terror of death that the humans have.
Well, and the elves also like have a place they're going where it's like, even if it's less than Middle Earth, like they know what happens.
Right. Yeah. And because like if we want to do the lore breakdown, like, because elves, when they die, there is like a sort of purgatory place that their souls will wait, and possibly they could be sent back and reincarnated, or they could not. And there's like they wait in the halls of Mandos, and then like at the end of time,
then they go to Grey Havens.
Well, no. So the Grey Havens
are just like the port where they leave like for the West.
It's just the city. Okay. So if they die in Middle Earth or in creation, then their spirit goes to the halls of Mandos, and it waits for the end of time, and they don't know what happens after that.
Oh wow, okay.
So like there is kind of this sense of fear, like, is our spirit bound to creation? Maybe we just cease to exist after that, or maybe not. We don't know. With humans, like, there is sort of, they're not bound within creation. There's like a beyond that their spirits will go to.
Leave.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so like they have like different destinies beyond the realms of the world, and like they're not necessarily bound by fate either. They have more agency within the universe.
Okay.
But also there's also this idea, at least one of the ideas presented is that like death is a gift that they're given, because like then like elves are like envious of them, because they're like, well, we're stuck here forever.
Yeah.
And
elves get bored and get depressed. Like eventually you've done everything.
Elf ennui. Yeah.
Yeah. And so they're envious, and the humans are like, fuck, we have to die and you get to live forever. And so there's like this mutual, like, why don't you appreciate what you have kind of thing going on. And so like this theme of the human terror of death keeps coming back and back. And like, that's why Numenor fell, is because they were trying to steal immortality from the gods.
Yeah, that sort of image of sailing on
elixirs.
Yeah, like, and sailing on heaven too, like they sail towards Valinor.
So specifically, they were first, before that, Sauron convinced them to do human sacrifice to try to live forever, and then they sailed on heaven to try to steal immortality from the gods, which I feel like is not talked about enough.
Well, I was joking when I heard that Rings of Power was going to be about the Numenors. I'm like, are we going to see the Death Cult?
I hope we see the Death Cult. It's gonna be so good. It's not appreciated enough.
Yeah, and too, like, what it's like evil Numenor, and then they sail on heaven.
Well, and it's also happening at a moment when they've been colonizing all of Western Middle Earth.
Oh wow, okay.
So like before that, they were just sort of sailing everywhere and exploring and being like whatever. And then as they become more and more deeply insecure about their mortality, they start to conquer, and they start to rule, and they start to extract tribute, and they start to, become like imperialists, which I find so fascinating that Tolkien makes that a parallel process.
Yeah, there is something kind of post British Empire about this, now that I'm thinking about it. Like the idea that it's an island that then overextends itself. Yeah. So And then their island becomes Atlantis. Right. Which I remember, just as a side note, there was like a lore book in the library, and I think I found out about it in the lore book, and I had no idea what Numenor was. I was just like, wow, so there's this like island that's like Atlantis that like blowed up, like, and then like only later like was like, oh, okay, here's how it fits together. But there was a nice experience of just reading lore and not really knowing how it all fits together. So yeah,
man. I don't know. I'd still want to live forever. I'm happy to be bound to Arda.
John's like, I would not
sound that bad.
I would not get corrupted. I will live in the Grey Havens. I will eat Lembas.
The West sounds great. Like, I don't know, it doesn't sound that bad.
There's in the Silmarillion, actually, I had forgotten about this. I was telling Ben about it when the the Noldor leave the West and come to Middle Earth, they murder a bunch of their own people.
Yeah, the kin strife, right? Is that what it's called?
The kinslaying.
Oh, kinslaying, yeah.
And I was reading it earlier this week because I was like not sure, and I didn't want to like come on the podcast and say the wrong thing. I could not remember.
People will get mad at us.
Yeah, they will. I was like, I do not know if Galadriel participated in it, and I think she didn't.
Okay, yeah.
I would love it if somebody would correct me. I don't think she did any murders. But she is included in like the collective
safe to
punishment.
stand.
Yeah, but she and like her family are included in this collective punishment of all of the Noldor.
It's the original sin, right? Kind of.
Yeah, it's kind of the original sin of the elves.
Yeah.
Like all of them are banned from the West, and they're like, you cannot come back. And then only after the First Age like battle with Morgoth, the ban is lifted, and they're like, okay, well you can come back because of your service. You're valiant.
You did good.
You did good. And then she's like, I'm not coming back. I didn't do anything wrong.
Yeah, this is only making John stand Galadriel more. Yeah,
she's such an interesting character because like I think a lot after the ban is lifted, a lot of them do go home. A lot of them are like, yeah, we don't want to be here anymore. The world
this place sucks.
Yeah.
Half of the continent has just been drowned. Like,
right.
Like we don't want to be here.
There are all these gross short people and humans.
And she's just like, yeah, I'm staying here because part of the reason she came to Middle Earth in the first place was because she wanted to rule it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
which is part of why like her journey in like all the way up to Fellowship of the Ring is so interesting. And like when she finally does decline to take the ring, that's like way more significant than I
she's genuinely been tempted to do that in a way that like say Gandalf is not.
And in order to go back to the West, she does have to accept the pardon.
Yeah.
In a way that Elrond does not, because he was not born yet. He did not have to participate in any crimes. So he can just go. He can just go home.
Yeah, there's no she's wounding her pride in a way.
She is wounding her pride, and so like it costs her something.
Yeah.
To turn down the ring in a way that it does not cost Elrond anything. He can just be like, I don't want it.
Well, doesn't she, not to skip to Return of the King, but doesn't she go back at the end of Return of the King?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I mean. It's like I think it's way more meaningful than we really appreciate.
Yeah.
And like I like her character more because of it. Like she's not just this. Like I've seen some criticism of her character where it's like, oh well, she's like this Mary figure. She's perfect and like saint-like, and we just like, and it's like, no, she's not. She's not perfect. She's not saint-like. She's interesting and like complex, and we don't get to see those elements of her so much in the Fellowship.
Yeah, you kind of have to. I think
that's kind of
put in the
true
work
of the elves in general.
Yeah,
because I mean, again, part of it's the scope of the story we're telling.
It's true, yeah.
But it's very easy to be like, well, the elves have never done anything wrong. They're perfect.
Yeah,
you know, and I think that there's talking about like the elves is kind of like, oh, this is what humanity would be like if they weren't fallen, and kind of that idea that people have.
Which it's like, haha, you have not read the Silmarillion.
You have not read the Silmarillion. But yeah, I think that there is something really interesting there in terms of kind of the way that Tolkien has considered some of this stuff in a way that doesn't come through. And I mean, at some level, you almost have to admire him for showing the restraint of not like spilling all that out right there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I was saying. Like he's thought of it clearly. He wants to be responsible for his sub-creation, but he's not going to give it all to you because it might like clog up the story. So
yeah, and we do get a little bit of complexity. Like I remember there is kind of like Celeborn is a little bit racist towards dwarves.
Yeah, there is something kind of like oh, he's kind of a goof, or not a goof. Like he just like, I feel like she's a little more diplomatic.
It's
than
clear
he is.
that he's not really the guy who's in charge.
Right. Yeah.
Which I love, by the way. Like I love that.
Oh yeah. Well, no, and I mean, there's a reason that I like come back to the scene with Galadriel in the garden so much, and it's because there is like something really strong there that. I mean, I don't want to say like none of the other scenes are good, obviously, but it's like there is like something really rich there in her character. That
for comparing all the
really comes through.
The temptation scenes, I think hers is one of the stronger ones. Because it's like Gandalf gets tempted, she does, Faramir, and then I guess Sam kind of, and Boromir also. Yeah.
I love that when Sam is describing Galadriel to Faramir, I don't remember exactly what language he uses, but he's sort of like, she's terrifying, but in the way that like a river is terrifying, and if you drowned, it wouldn't be the river's fault. Like, which is just this force of nature, kind of in his view. Like she's just so powerful, but also, I don't know. It's just
and there's like a bit there too where like she suddenly just kind of appears as just a normal person suddenly after being like very kind of intense. Yeah.
But also like the way that the people in Rohan see her, versus the way that we see her, versus the way that Faramir sees her, is like very, like we talk about sort of like there's the free peoples of Middle Earth and they're fighting Sauron and the bad guys, but like there's not really like two camps here. There's a dozen camps and they don't all like each other, and like getting them to talk to each other, let alone cooperate with each other.
Yeah, because don't they say that she's scary or something? Like she's
scary. The fact that Aragorn and his friends have been in Lothlorien makes Éomer not trust them.
Oh yeah,
Like
Well, and that's like almost like going back to like very old fairy lore where it's like, it's not just the like she's scary. It's like, oh, you were in like the other world, and like you're suspect for that very fact.
So it's like, it's not that, the elves and the men and the dwarves and everybody are all on one side and Sauron is on the other. It's like, none of these people trust each other or like each other. And it's like, somehow, I don't know, it's a Gandalf's job to make them be friends just for 5 minutes so that they can.
Yeah, thank God he has the fastest horse ever.
I know, right?
I almost think that it's something that comes through a lot better, not to get into the movies too much, but I do think it comes across more better in the books, because the movies, there's kind of a flattening that happens when you put something on camera. Like, does Rohan really feel that different than, like, you can't really show how different Lothlorien is supposed to be. And like maintain a consistent tone.
Also,
it's like what we were talking about, Ben, with like if they did Tom Bombadil, it would be like, oh, they would need to walk into like a literal like Fleischer Brothers cartoon for a scene.
Right. Or like I also feel like Peter Jackson only uses some of the same like cinematic languages where it's like staring into the middle distance, swooping crane shot. Like I feel like if he was like more, if he had more time to mix it up, I think we could get some of that variation. But yeah, there is something kind of like similar to all of the presentations. So
and there's sort of the visual cue of when there's bad guys, it dark outside. And when there's good guys, it light outside. So like we know who's on what side here. Like it's not complicated.
So I did not watch all of the Two Towers this week, like I did when we talked Fellowship, because I just didn't have time to watch a 4-hour movie. But I watched a little bit, and there's the scene with the Uruk-hai, where at one point, like one of the orcs just grabs the Uruk-hai's head and just like shakes it around, and the camera's shaking, and it's like, what is supposed to be happening here? Like, what's the point of this? And it's just supposed to be like, they're bad.
Oh my God.
This just looks evil and dense.
Like chaos bad.
Because I remember reading criticism when they came out where it was just like, it's like he shoots everything the same or in the same contrast, so you don't get worried about who's the good guy and who the bad guy is. And it would be funny if there was like just weird cinematic lighting or like montages and stuff. It's just, I feel like there's just a lot of like really good crane shots of New Zealand, that kind of stuff. So,
and there's also the stuff about time that again doesn't get a ton of like play in the book, but like if a lot of people like go into Lothlorien and it's like Lothlorien is like stuck in time. So it's like things stay the same there in a way that they do not in the rest of the world, which makes it scary. And I think that like there's an implication it's somewhat similar in Rivendell, but not maybe to the same extent.
Yeah, because they say I never keep track of the days when I'm in Rivendell, or I think Bill says that. So yeah.
Enough Galadriel talk, probably. We
should
go back to the Two Towers.
I mean, we could talk about Shelob briefly, although we kind of already have. I do think the description of Shelob is almost like Lovecraftian horror, and I just wanted to point that out because, like, she's monstrous. Her evil is beyond the scope of the story in some ways. She's older than a lot of the stuff in the story, and like she's described in a way that's not quite as like it's like inhuman because she is a giant spider. So I don't know. I like that it gets kind of like outside the frame of the stuff in a way that's cool. And to me, I think he's really good at writing horror sequences. And I think that whole sequence when they're in the tunnel and they're walking around is some scary stuff even now. So. Yeah,
well, I like that she's evil for different reasons, and Sauron is evil because, like, Sauron and Saruman are both evil, but like of the same kind. They're both
like control freaks.
Command control. Yeah. Shelob is evil because she wants to consume creatures. Like she wants to eat everything, and like that's different. She doesn't give a fuck about like commanding anything. She just wants to eat you.
Yeah.
Which is like different, and I like that. It's like, and like Sauron knows that she's there. Doesn't want to deal with her, like
or like, and most like thinks of her as kind of like a barn cat, where it's like occasionally like they'll throw her some prisoners just kind of to see what she does,
right?
But it's like she's not really on our side exactly.
Well, I think there's a moment where he describes it as it's kind of like you don't own a cat, the cat owns you, like
Well, and too that
again, like go ahead. No,
well, I was going to say I like that the passageway is presented as fulfilling both Smeagol and Golem simultaneously. And he doesn't exactly spell it out, but it's like there's a bit where like Smeagol does want to help and he's kind of, more sympathetic. Golem is not. And then when they have to take the passageway, it's like Smeagol and Golem speaking at the same time. It's like Smeagol wants to help them get around, but also Golem can profit from this because Shelob will eat them and then they'll get the ring. And to me, it was a really smart like presentation of that choice where it's doing two things at the same time, unbeknownst to us. But like if you're reading carefully, like you can get a sense that's what's happening. So
I did kind of wonder in that moment, like, is there a way, like like in this moment where Gollum / Smeagol is like presented as like a hobbit again and like almost kind of regretting his choice, almost kind of repenting maybe,
right?
Like, is there a way that he could have led them through without being eaten?
That's a good question. Like if he's like, hey, there's a spider in here.
Like could he have warned them, or was there like a path that wouldn't have like alerted her? Like I'm wondering, or is he not capable of that level of thought? Like I don't know. Like is that something that was even on the table, or would he have, just had them turn around? Like what's going on there?
I mean, I think that's such a weird tension with Tolkien because again, he's working off these sources where again, fate and doom is so important. Yeah. It's like these characters don't have a lot of room to maneuver around their destiny. And again, not to get to a Return of the King, but it's like Smeagol is here for a very particular purpose.
Right.
And it is crucial that he is there to fulfill it at the end. If he is not there, like the whole thing does not work the way that it is supposed to. And, again, in this kind of catastrophic sense, it's like, okay, we can assume that there is a spiritual force kind of working behind the scenes to make this all line up the way that it does.
Well, remembering the light of Galadriel when you're in the tunnel, another instance of that.
But at the same time, it's like, okay, but he has to have some kind of free will. Like he's clearly struggling with what is the right thing to do. But he chooses wrong at some level, or at least in a metaphysical sense, he chooses to do the evil thing.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, in that sense, want to get too much into Return of the King either, but in that sense, Frodo also chooses wrong.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, that's
Frodo is not punished for it. Frodo is not punished for it because Frodo has not been choosing wrong all along. Like in the end, like he's pushed to the breaking point because he's basically been tortured by this supernatural force. But like Gollum has been making bad choices.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like that's like a fundamental difference between them. You know?
Yeah. I think something Ben and I talked about a little bit in our last episode is the way that the ring, or, you know, even the rings themselves kind of have this effect of, they make you more of a character in the story, like for better and worse. Like they make you more powerful, but you have less room to like act against your like nature in a way. And so Gollum, having had the ring so long, you know, he's only kind of just rediscovered like having a conscience again after like 500 years, because he just has been away from the ring long enough that he can think at all. And so
Frodo
I think
is being nice to him too. That's part of it. Yeah.
Well, I do think that's a big part of Smeagol's. I mean, Gollum's reawakening as Smeagol is like the experience of somebody showing compassion to him.
Right. Yeah.
Which, like, for 500 years, he saw no people at all except, you know, orcs. and he saw Aragorn and he saw Gandalf, neither of whom were kind to him. Yeah. They didn't mistreat him, but they weren't kind to him. They were treating him as a prisoner.
Right.
And maybe in Mirkwood, when he was a prisoner of the elves, maybe they were kind to him, but they weren't like trying to reach out to him personally, and they didn't have a personal connection to him. Yeah. But Frodo is seeing him as a human. Yeah. Whatever. Like he's seeing him as a person.
Because he knows like what the ring does to you. Yeah. He is also borne the burden. Like at some level, that's something about Gollum that like no one really ever seems to take seriously, is like, he had the ring for like 200 years. Like this thing that like is bad.
Well, and like Sam says, he's like, I don't understand what's going on when they meet, but they can like touch each other's minds, I think, or understand each other. So exactly, John. Like they can see each other clearly because they both have this burden, or we're part of it. Yeah.
And like Frodo, because he understands exactly like how he was also tortured really by this horrible like magical thing. Like it was not good for him. Yeah. I don't know. So like he knows what that experience is like. He can empathize, and then like instead of treating him as an enemy, like he's not naive about him, but he you know treats him.
But he knows like he is not like. I mean, he's not like Shelob. He's not like Smaug. Like he's not a monster.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In this way where I mean, you know. Like Smaug, there's no, or like Shelob, like we don't feel bad for Shelob when she gets her fucking eye stabbed out. Yeah. And I don't think Tolkien like wants us to be thinking about like, oh, does Shelob have a soul? Could she too be redeemed at the end of time?
I don't think he's super concerned about that. But and like I love Sam. I really do. He's such a wonderful character. He's so like loyal to Frodo. He's so like relatable, honestly. Like sitting down to like make stew and like wishing there were potatoes. I'm like, I relate to you so much, buddy. But
we're just hating Gollum. Gollum is annoying and weird.
I also would hate Gollum in that scenario, but also like that's kind of the one flaw in his character, which again makes him relatable. Is like being just unable always to understand why Frodo is bothering with that.
Yeah, we got to hang out with this annoying guy. Yeah.
Yeah, and like there's this one moment where like Faramir is like, "So are you going to keep taking him with you?" And Frodo's like, "Yeah," and Sam is just like,
"Do we have to?"
Sighs audibly, and it's like, no, it's really relatable. But then also like. Sam's repeated mistreatment of him is kind of what pushes him
away.
Yeah.
And it's like kind of heartbreaking.
Yeah.
Especially since it comes after when he's like looking at Frodo and Sam and he's becoming a hobbit again. Like Sam wakes up and thinks he's like trying to do something weird.
Yeah, so just like always assuming the worst of him, which again, like he's kind of earned it. But like that's exactly what Frodo is offering him, is not always assuming the worst of him and giving him a chance to be better.
It's refusing to see the potential for change.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
And like, I don't know, maybe because like Sam eventually we see in the very end of book 4, like he takes the ring on just for a little bit and
Right.
eventually he's going to give it back. But I kind of wonder, like, if that had happened earlier and then they encountered Smeagol, would he have understood a little bit better?
Because Sam doesn't understand the burden.
Yeah. Would he have treated him better? I don't know. Like,
well, I think there's something interesting that happens in the section. You know, Sam talks about adventure and, you know, how he used to think of adventure as something, you know, important people did like on a lark because their lives are getting boring. And now that he's on an adventure, like he realizes like, oh, I wish I'd never wanted that.
Wait, is that when they're like sort of thinking about what the tale of what they're doing is going to sound like? Which is almost like
Sam is like, I don't know how it ends, and that's scary.
Yeah.
And I think that there is this element where, I mean, Frodo kind of agrees with him, but Frodo actually understands what they're doing. Sam still doesn't totally understand what they're doing.
Right. Yeah.
Sam knows like they're on this quest and that it's important in some way, but he doesn't understand like, no, like if we don't do this, there's no like hanging out in the Shire and like gardening.
Right. Yeah.
Like Frodo knows like wishing for home is in vain at this point. Like,
yeah, that's why he's like, there's going to be no after. They say that early in this book. Yeah.
Whereas Sam is still like kind of thinking like, oh man, what if I just hadn't signed up for this?
Yeah.
Well, and there is kind of a moment where Frodo is just kind of thinking to himself, and he kind of decides that, you know, I'm going to keep doing this, you know, whether or not Elrond and Galadriel and all of them ever hear about it. And it's kind of contrasts with the way that Sam is thinking about this.
Yeah.
With this, like, they're going to tell a story about us. We're going to be characters, and it's going to be, you know, like there's kind of this, like, we are characters in the great story versus the nobody's going to know and we might die. Like,
it's
kind of two different ways of conceiving of what's happening. And like, I almost think, because like in Helm's Deep, there is this contrast happening as well. Like somebody is like, we're gonna, you know, meet such an end that will be worth singing songs about, and then somebody's like, yeah, if there's anyone to sing them.
Yeah. I also like in Helm's Deep, they're like, you know, nobody's ever lost in Helm's Deep if it's been defended. Like they're like, it's sort of like a similar use of lore to like bolster your courage. Yeah,
but there's kind of like the two competing versions of it. It's like, are we in a story, or are we, you know, do we just keep going regardless?
Just doing stuff. Yeah.
It's like someone has to be able to hear about it for it to be a story.
Someone has to live for there to be a story, and that might not happen here.
Yeah. And Frodo has resigned himself to this being a suicide mission, for better or worse.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty, like I said, the stakes are very high at this point in the story. So, yeah.
Well, and we see sort of like with, I don't know, you brought up earlier the Dead Marshes.
Oh, yeah.
Like those are from 3,000 years ago, right? Those are from the end of the Second Age.
Right. And that's when they fought Sauron in front of Mordor, right?
Yeah.
I think,
And so like the fact that that devastating battle just left behind such a huge mark on the world, like I feel like is just like a physical reminder of the stakes.
Yeah.
It's like that, because that never goes away, right?
Yeah.
And like, I think that's true. Like at Helm's Deep, they bury their dead, and it says, and never after would grass grow on this mountain. It's like that's a physical scar, right?
And the corpse flowers in Rohan, which is always a nice detail. Yeah.
I love that. It's such an interesting like physical representation of like, no, this physically changes the world.
Yeah.
Like, we can't like it. We can't like overlook the stakes of what's happening
Mm-hmm.
here.
Mm-hmm.
Even if we win, this will never go away.
Right. Yeah.
No, I mean, kind of to return, I know we said we were going to come back to it. Maybe this is a good place to end. You know, the theme of change, and of diminishment, of the world being worse at the end than it was at the beginning. You know, again, not to get too into the Return of the King, but it's like, you know, this is the prehistory of our world in a way. It's like the elves are going to go away at the end of this. Mm-hmm. The dwarves are, I don't know where they go, but they disappear too. So do the Ents. You know, the something is, you know, you ever feel like you came in at the end of something?
Well, it's funny to imply this again, the Tony Soprano thing, because like again, just things used to be great and now I just have this. Like, it's so what.
But that, you know, the fighting is still worth it. Like that you know, despair is an even greater, you know, enemy than sorrow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think you said it, John. I feel like that really comes in here, and like I said, it's not in a way that I feel like is repetitive. I feel like each time it comes up, it's in a different way, or it adds to this like sense of diminishment. And so, like, I feel like in Two Towers, it's just as present as this was in Fellowship, and it's definitely the vibe. So, as they say.
There's an image in Ithilien that they replicate almost flawlessly in the movie. And I think it might be in the Return of the King movie. I don't remember where they put it, but it's that statue from Gondor that's headless.
Oh yeah.
And they, like, the orcs took the head off and they put something else on there, but then they see the head of like a Gondorian king, and there's flowers growing in the crown. And like there's this, I mean, the image of it is lovely, and I just think that film is not the perfect.
Was that at Minas
really
Morgul?
well done. It's when they're walking. I think it's after they leave Faramir.
Oh, okay.
They're walking through. So I don't remember which film it's in, but
the scene is in this book, at least.
It's in this book, yeah. And I just think that the reflection in the text is much more lovely than it is in the movie.
Yeah.
But it's just like this simultaneous like depiction of the loss from the kingdom that's been destroyed, and also like the way that the earth itself is kind of renewing itself and fighting back, and like you can't undo the loss, but also there's something new that's growing in its place. And so it's not despair either, you know?
Right. Yeah. Because in the Roger Sales essay about it, he talks about recovery, and it's not like, like we can make it new again, but it's like you're going to get something sustaining out of it, even if it's not like, using the ring to preserve it or bring it back to the way it was. It's like, there's still beauty. There's still some consolation. It's not, we're not making Gondor great again. So
we can't undo it. It's not undoing the loss, but it's healing something.
Yeah. No, the clinging is worse than the change in a way.
Yeah.
No, it's something that I like. It obviously it's made fairly clear with the One Ring, but like sometimes I kind of wish he'd made it a little clearer. Like, no, the point of the rings was like to make people like immortal,
right?
Because I think that's really crucial. And I think you don't quite understand like why these were so tempting to the people who got them,
right? If
you don't spell that out a little more.
Well, and you have to check in with everyone who's tempted, so that it's like this cumulative, like by the end you're like, just get rid of it. So.
Well, and I think that because the individual fear of death, I think, comes up a lot, but I think it parallels quite nicely with civilizational fear of death and like collective fear of death, and like, no, we have to hold on to what we had, or we have to get back what we had. We have to, make Gondor great again. but part of like this theme or whatever is like, no, like you have to let go, and you have to like accept that losses will happen and then continue. You just have to put one foot in front of the other. And
with the example too, that like beauty is still possible as well. It's not like there won't be any. So.
Yeah. I mean, it's weird, again, there is so much mourning for what is in the process of being lost in these books for, again, it is, I wish there were still Ents kicking around.
Yeah.
Like, I wish they weren't all just trees. But, I mean, it's, I don't know. I think there's a tension here that I never quite know what to do with these books. And I know we talked about it in our last episode, Ben, where it's kind of like, okay, some of the loss I get, but when the dwarves are like, oh, we can't do things the way our ancestors did, it's like, well, couldn't you just like figure out how to do it again? Like in terms of like where they're talking about like how they can't make like swords as good as they used to, and it's like, well, work it out. it's still doable.
I don't know, that's like a real thing though. Like there's some buildings where they like can't figure out how the architects designed it because there's no record of the methods that they like. If you didn't write down how you did it, then
what was the meme? I think the meme was, we've forgotten the recipes. We can't cook like this anymore. I don't see people repeating it as much, but like, the idea of like like losing something irrevocably. But I mean, Claire had mentioned the sub-creation theme, and I think on Fairy Stories, he's like, one of the reasons I like fairy stories is like when you make a fairy story, like you are a creator, and like the act of making fairy stories is like generative. And I think like, not that this happens in Lord of the Rings, but I feel like Lord of the Rings has been extremely generative. It's like people make lore stories, people make things out of it. It's something that is like, the text of it is really like generative. And even if that doesn't, like John said, bring back the dwarven recipes for, the caves or something, there's something about like the way this world continues on, even if it's like ending in like what's made out of it, that I find to be pretty interesting. And that's why Tolkien likes fairy stories so much, is because you can like make them out of stuff and they can keep making each other. So I don't know. It's an interesting sort of like, this act goes on even if the timeline does not. So
yeah, we're living in the fourth age, baby.
Yeah. Nowhere to go but up. Yeah. So.
Yeah, I don't know if that's the takeaway here.
Yeah, no, I think that I think I don't think that's the takeaway.
Yeah, it's not. But
well, I do think it's interesting though, because like even with all of the losses that you see, like Gondor is declining, right? It's been declining.
Yeah.
But, Rohan, not declining. Right?
Yeah.
Like 500 years ago, there was this new kingdom that rose up. And
right, it's still there, yeah.
Doing fine, right? I mean, like the king's son died and that was bad, but like Éomer's fine. Like,
right, yeah.
He's going to be a good king. Like, there's no sense of Rohan losing any
it's
of its
not waning in the same way,
right? Yeah. It's not waning. So there is kind of this like Gondor is losing something, but there is something else that's rising at the same time, and so like there is like something is being lost, but also people can build.
Right. Yeah.
I think that it's interesting. I find it the most troubling with the dwarves. Because the dwarves, like when we start this book, like the dwarves are kind of coming off like a big W. Like they just, they just reclaim the Misty Mountains.
Right. The dale under the mountain is beautiful. Yeah.
But there still seems to be this sense of like, okay, even though we did that, like we're still like waning. Right. Like that didn't turn anything around in like this larger sense.
I do think it's a bummer that just in general the stories don't feature very many dwarves.
Yeah.
Except again,
yeah. It feels like it's a thing where it's just like maybe we just don't get to see enough of them to really understand like what's going on with that. Because like again, we know with the elves, it's like they're all leaving, like physically, like getting in a boat and going somewhere else. But I'm always like, well, what happened? Did the dwarves just like go extinct? Like, did they just run out of like female dwarves? Because like that's what happens with the Ents. It's like, did they just keep delving too deep? Like,
well, yeah, or like the idea that they just go into their caves and then just disappear. But
maybe it's I mean,
there is kind of like a sense of being off stage with them, because like there is like a whole nother front of the war, right? That's happening,
right?
That we just don't see with that they're fighting, and then like what happens to them, we don't really know. So
yeah. Well, and like there's even more dwarves like out in like the other parts of the world that we just know nothing about.
Like is there another dwarven capital or something besides Dale and then the Lost Moria?
Yeah, no, I mean there were like 7 like dwarf patriarchs, and they each founded a kingdom. Yeah. Well, anything else we want to talk about the 2 towers or the twin towers?
We should say we didn't. This is a good thing to end on. Supposedly Tolkien was a little upset with the 2 towers because it's more than 1 tower in this book.
Yeah, there's like 8 towers.
Yeah. But I find the ambiguity to be kind of interesting. So yeah, if you're wondering like what the 2 towers are, it's like Isengard, Orthanc, Barad-dûm, Sauron's tower, but then there's also Minas Morgul, Minas Tirith. And then I think there's like another one.
Cirith Ungol, right?
Oh, Cirith Ungol,
Cirith Ungol. Dark Tower, Minas Tirith.
It's really quite an evocative title that I feel like is to me more mysterious than the other 2 in the because it's like it's almost
the other
like
2 are very obvious what they're about.
Yeah, it's like, but with the 2 towers, it's like. Yeah, they're influencing each other, the hubris, the power, like Saruman being the villain. Like there's something kind of interesting about that title that the other ones is just like, yeah, we know what's happening. But yeah.
It felt very much to me like his editor was like, we need a title, man. And he was like, I don't have a title.
Oh, there's 2 towers. Okay. Yeah. But
yeah, I mean, as much as
many towers do I have?
Yeah.
Reading this book, it definitely, there's an awkwardness to this one where it's like, okay, yeah, he was like, okay, this is the middle part and it's not quite the beginning and it's not quite the end.
Right. Yeah.
To be fair, it's not his fault. He wanted all of them to be released together.
No, absolutely. Right. Absolutely. But I'm saying like in terms of like having to do that, like you can tell like there's something kind of weird here because of that. Yeah. And like the kind of failure to find like the key thing here.
Right. Yeah.
To find that central point, like the Fellowship or like the Return of the King, to ground this book in. Because again, there's like 5 towers, which are the 2
right
that we're referring to.
Well, if there is a core theme, maybe it's that gardeners are the hero.
Yeah. Tending the garden. Yeah.
Because like every time we have somebody building something or making something, either they like go off and fuck it up, or you have Sam who's just like, I'm gonna plant my little potatoes.
And like Faramir too, right? I think you'd mentioned that. Yeah.
Faramir's like, the Ents, the ultimate gardeners.
Okay, yeah, we're gonna call it the 2 gardeners. Yeah, that's gonna be our revised title. Yeah.
Well, yeah, because ultimately Faramir is like, I wish I could just be a gardener. Well, he doesn't say that, but he does actually.
There's an implication.
He says it in the Return of the King, but that's kind of what he tells Sam is like, yeah, Shire sounds pretty great. He must have a lot of gardeners there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do just love the little detail that like at the end turn around, like some of the trees just come to life and turn evil for no reason. It's just such a
wild,
great little
the wild
touch.
trees. Yeah.
And I kind of wonder if that was just him kind of like backfilling, like, oh man, I gotta figure, why was there that evil tree? Like,
well, he is really good at, he's very good at backfilling. So I think that might be it. Like the idea that they ask about Tom Bombadil keeping the ring in the Council of Elrond. It's like, why couldn't Tom Bombadil keep it? It's just like, that wouldn't work out. Like, yeah.
He would live it, yeah. No, I do kind of like the idea though that like in his imagination, the woods take revenge.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like Saruman's been fucking with the trees too much, and they're just like, we're done. We're gonna fuck with you back, actually.
Right. Yeah.
Well, I think there's also something there in terms of, again, kind of like Catholic stuff, like being a good steward of creation. Like the nature can also become bad if you like don't pay attention to it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Man, the end's so cool.
We're placed here to care for the world, and so
right. Honestly, it's really funny just thinking about it named the two gardeners. Like, it's like, which one are the gardeners? So and it's like there's more gardeners than just two. Yeah, but
like Treebeard and Fairbeard.
Yeah,
gardeners. But no, it's almost like because Tolkien's like self-insert besides Faramir are like the hobbits, right? And so like he kind of like that's what he imagines for himself as like the best life is like being a hobbit, like gardening and writing books and whatever,
having big parties,
so, like, having big parties,
smoking weed, and, like, smoking that lound.
But like I love that we're in like a moral universe where he sees being like they're fighting a war, but being a warrior is like a lesser calling.
Right. Yeah. Than the one they could be doing. Yeah.
Like being a gardener is like the ultimate thing you could do. And like, well, I guess you can pick up a sword if you have to.
It'd be like Aragorn being a Wook would be way better than
that's even like Aragorn is a healer ultimately. Foraging for herbs in the woods to heal people's injuries. Yeah. And then it's like, I guess I'll pick up a sword if I have to, like there's like these sort of more peaceful occupations that they envision for themselves. And then like, well, I guess I'm forced to battle because I must. And that's like the people who love battle are like somehow not as heroic.
Yeah. I mean, I think that when I think about, again, maybe to get on my soapbox a little bit here as we reach the end point, when I think about, again, like when I think about like Tolkien imitators and kind of like the 1,000,001, bad Lord of the Rings knockoffs, like inhabiting fantasy literature, I think that is kind of the missing ingredient is, a lot of those people like did not live through World War One, they get, people like, I think about like The Wheel of Time, which is a book that is so enamored with the idea of like being a hero as like this metaphysical like calling, and like the kind of place those books start is very clearly inspired by the Shire, but like you do not care about it in the same way. It is not a place where you can realistically see the main characters returning to.
It's like a starting level or something. Yeah,
exactly. Or again, kind of like Star Wars is kind of like the not opposite, but kind of the parallel to Lord of the Rings in terms of kind of like these two pillars of kind of fantastic genre fiction. Not fantastic as in good, fantastic as in fantastical. You can't, Luke doesn't go back to Tatooine. Like, it's literally there to suck and be boring so that he doesn't feel bad about leaving.
Is there a line from like the extended universe? It's like the armpit of the universe. I don't know if anyone says that in the movies, but yeah, there's not good reviews of Tatooine. So
yeah, I think that there is this thing where people get so enamored with big battles and with, who cool stuff that you lose.
Yeah.
You know, you get enamored with the violence, with the bloodshed. You know, I think about this almost a little more in terms of kind of like the way this inspires D&D and how D&D is so terrible at doing anything besides fantasy violence.
Right.
You know, it's the missing ingredient. The missing ingredient is living through World War I and being like, oh yeah, that was bad. I'd rather not do that again.
Well, and like kind of like, yeah, taking care of your world as being as important, more important than fighting. Yeah. So
yeah.
Well, yeah, and there's like this sense that because like he's not a pacifist.
No.
By any stretch of the imagination, but there's this sense that taking up arms is the thing that you do because you must. Not
it would be better if you did not have to.
Right. It's not something that you aspire to do. It's something that you do because you have no other choice.
Yeah. Now there is always the issue of, you know, again, in terms of like you can't make an anti-war film at some level. There is kind of this element of like, do not do this cool thing.
Yeah. I remember reading, and I think it was in a Matthew Dickerson book about Tolkien. So he's a Tolkien scholar who does like writes about some of the religious stuff in Tolkien.
Oh, cool.
So he has one about like the environmental stuff. I think he cited in that article I sent you. So like there's some stuff that I've loved of his and stuff that I haven't, but like there's in one of his books he writes about just like the depictions of the war in Tolkien, and he made such an interesting point, and I think I probably wouldn't have noticed if he hadn't brought it up, but just like the balance of text of war, like Tolkien just doesn't spend very much time depicting battle.
Yeah, no, that struck me too this time.
Yeah,
and but like on this reading, I noticed it, having had it pointed out to me. Like maybe Helm's Deep has the most,
right? Yeah,
and I like in The Hobbit, literally Bilbo gets knocked out and doesn't experience most of the five armies,
right? And like the Weathertop fight in Fellowship is also a knockout, I think, or like described after Frodo faints, something like that. But at the Black Gate, Pippin also gets knocked out. And he's kind of the narrator of that one. Like Minas Tirith is not very long. Yeah, the siege.
The siege. Yeah, it's and like there's a lot of narration of other things happening before, after, during, but like of actual combat, there's not very much.
Yeah, or even again in this book we talked about at the beginning, the Battle of Isengard, where again we just basically over the course of like 2 pages, the Ents showed up. And they threw a bunch of rocks at everything.
And they smashed.
And it's all Pippin's perspective of it. And so like there's probably lots of stuff that Pippin didn't know about, or that he missed, or that he didn't think was important. And so it's like this very limited Hobbit view perspective of battle for the most part, which I think is so interesting and kind of like gets this like non-heroic view almost of combat.
Right. Yeah. Like not overtly valorizing. Yeah.
It also it feels like someone who, you know, I don't know if Tolkien saw combat, but he certainly knew a lot of people who had as a medic. And it's kind of this thing of, it's like, when you're in a battle, like you don't have the like bird's eye, like historian view. Like it was just a thing you were in. Right. And you have like your particular viewpoint on it, whether it was won or lost. And so I think that, that kind of Hobbit level perspective is really crucial there.
Yeah, definitely.
Whew.
Well, we should. I think we're at about 3 hours. 3 hours. So and that's like
another two-parter.
I feel like that's 3 hours of like thematic stuff. So I think this is pretty great. Yeah. So Well,
Claire, thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah. Is there anything you wanted to plug, Claire? Usually, you know, we ask guests if they wanted to plug anything that you want people to read, anything that you're like, check this out.
If anyone wants to fund my PhD, they're welcome to. No, I don't. I'm not on anything. I don't do anything. I just
fair enough.
Kind of sit at home and I read my books.
I think Dan plugged going into a cave was Dan's plug when he was on here. Which to me is my favorite. Yeah. He's like, make sure you go in a cave. That was this plug. So
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can plug anything.
You didn't warn me in advance. I couldn't come up with something clever.
We can cut it in later.
Yeah, we could. I could cut it in later. Yeah.
God. Am I allowed to say Free Palestine?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
We've said it on this podcast before.
Many times.
Yeah.
Good. Yes. Free Palestine. How about that?
That's the best plug. But yeah, thanks again for coming on. Like I said, I think you were the ideal person to have on. So, and yeah, it was great.
Yeah. Well,
have fun with Return of the King.
Yeah, we'll be back. Yeah. I guess actually we're going to be back in like a week for the next one when this part of this episode comes out.
Right.
So join us soon, listeners, for the Return of the King, because that king he's going to be coming on back.
And Nate's going to be joining us. Nate actually makes the music for this podcast, so it'll be great to have Nate on. Yeah.
Well,
hopefully we didn't spoil all of Return of the King.
Well, there's still plenty to talk about. Like we'll talk about the Witch King.
The title spoils it.
Yeah.
Like, oh no, is the king back or not? I don't know.
The king comes back, and again, we already know at the beginning that they do win and they do destroy the ring. It's literally it's in Concerning Hobbits that they win.
I forgot that it's in there. That's so funny. Yeah. By the way, they all made it back. Yeah.
Frodo wrote a whole book.
Yeah.
Right.
Wait, one more thing, Claire. If you say we need to sign off and say Semper Books, and if you say it, I can cut you in saying it. So, until next time.
I don't speak Latin.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
What is that? No, not like I refuse. What is that?
It means always books.
Yeah, always books. Yeah.
So I have a principled stance against speaking Latin.
It's an imperious language.
Yeah, it's dead. Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Well, So till next time, listeners. Semper Books.
Elbereth Gilthoniel. Semper Books.
Semper Books.
Thank you for listening to The Infinite Library. If you liked our show, we hope you'll subscribe and leave us a review on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or the podcast app of your choice. It helps us a lot. If you want to follow us on social media, we can be found on Twitter, Instagram, and Blue Sky at Infinite Library Pod. If you'd like to contact our team directly with episode ideas or feedback, you can email us at infinitelibrarypod@gmail.com. Our intro music is by Amos Legend in the Forest of Mayhem. Our outro music is by DJ Daggy Diggs, and our logo was created by Lars Noir.